Before highways and shopping centers, New Jersey was a patchwork of farms, forests, and small towns. The landscape was defined by rolling fields, dense woodlands, and quiet villages, where life unfolded at a gentle pace. Known as the Garden State, its fields fed New York City and Philadelphia. Every season brought new crops, and the bounty of the land was celebrated in local markets and family gatherings. Life moved with the seasons, not the clock, and communities were self-contained, connected by country roads. Neighbors knew each other well, and traditions were passed down through generations. Towns like Princeton and Morristown were separated by miles of open land, each with its own unique culture. These towns were proud of their heritage, and local events brought people together. Most people worked locally, on farms, in mills, or small businesses. The rhythm of daily life was shaped by the land and the needs of the community. The idea of commuting to a distant city was almost unheard of. People lived close to where they worked, and travel was limited to nearby towns. New Jersey's proximity to major cities hinted at future change, but for now, it was a rural retreat. The city skyline was a distant silhouette, not yet a daily reality. Wealthy city dwellers began building country estates, but the state's character remained agricultural. These grand homes dotted the countryside, yet most land was still worked by local families. Rivers and forests were vital resources, not just scenery. They provided food, transportation, and raw materials, shaping the way people lived and worked. This rural identity set the stage for a dramatic transformation. The quiet fields and forests would soon face pressures from a rapidly changing world. The shift from farms to suburbs would redefine New Jersey's landscape and way of life. The arrival of new roads and neighborhoods would bring both opportunity and loss. Understanding this foundation is key to grasping the scale of what was to come. The story of New Jersey's transformation begins with these roots, deep in the soil of its rural past. The move to New Jersey's suburbs was driven by a deep desire to escape the crowded, polluted cities that had become overwhelming for so many families. Urban life, once full of promise, was now marked by noise, congestion, and a constant struggle for space and comfort. By the early 20th century, New York and Philadelphia were bursting at the seams. Tenements were cramped, air was thick with smoke, and disease spread easily. Streets teemed with people, and the relentless pace of city life left little room for relaxation or privacy. Families longed for clean air, open space, and a safer environment for their children. The dream was to find a place where kids could play freely, neighbors knew each other, and life moved at a gentler pace. The suburbs promised tranquility, health, and a fresh start. Here, mornings began with birdsong instead of sirens, and evenings were spent on porches rather than crowded stoops. Popular culture and real estate ads painted suburbia as the American dream. Magazines and billboards showed smiling families, lush lawns, and the promise of a better tomorrow. As factories and offices relocated to New Jersey, jobs followed, making suburban living practical. The daily commute became easier, and new infrastructure connected these growing communities to the cities they once left behind. The dream of homeownership, unattainable in the city, became possible in the suburbs. For many, buying a house was more than just a financial decision. It was a symbol of hope and progress. Owning a house with a yard symbolized success and stability. It meant having a place to call your own, to build memories, and to invest in the future. Suburban life offered space, opportunity, and a new way of living. It was a chance to redefine what it meant to thrive in America. Economic incentives and cultural ideals combined to pull millions out of the city. The promise of a brighter, healthier, and more secure future was too powerful to ignore. The lure of the suburbs was irresistible for families seeking a better life. And for generations, it would shape the American landscape and the dreams of those who called it home. The arrival of the railway transformed the very idea of where people could live, making suburban life not just possible but desirable for the first time. Suddenly, rural New Jersey was connected to the bustling city, shrinking distances and opening up new possibilities for daily life. In the mid-1800s, rail lines radiated out from New York and Philadelphia, weaving a network that turned sleepy farming towns into vibrant commuter hubs almost overnight. Towns like Montclair and Summit became some of the earliest railway suburbs, drawing in affluent city workers who sought a quieter, greener life while maintaining easy access to urban jobs. Developers quickly recognized the opportunity, building elegant homes within walking distance of the stations and shaping exclusive communities that promised both comfort and prestige. The train station became the beating heart of these towns, setting the pace of daily routines and even influencing social status. Where you lived and how you commuted said everything about who you were. Suburban growth clustered tightly around the tracks, forming what urban historians call beads on a string communities, each one linked by the steady rhythm of the trains. But this new way of life was only available to those who could afford the cost and time of the daily commute, creating a new class of suburbanites defined by privilege. Meanwhile, the working class remained in crowded city neighborhoods, unable to access the comfort and space of the suburbs, their lives shaped by the limits of geography and income. The railway suburb became a blueprint for the future of American living, but its reach was narrow, reserved for the fortunate few. For decades, suburban dreams remained the domain of the wealthy, their grand homes and manicured lawns symbols of status and aspiration. It would take another transportation revolution, one that put mobility in everyone's hands, to truly open the suburbs to the masses. With the groundwork laid by the railways, the stage was set for a dramatic wave of suburban expansion that would reshape the American landscape. The next chapter in the story of the suburbs was about to begin, and it would change everything. The automobile shattered the boundaries set by railways, making suburban living accessible to the masses. Cars freed families from train schedules, allowing development to sprawl across New Jersey. Massive road projects, like the Lincoln and Holland tunnels, linked New Jersey directly to Manhattan. Highways and parkways, including the Pulaski Skyway, became arteries of growth. Suburbs were redesigned for cars, driveways, garages, and shopping centers replaced walkable main streets. The federal government accelerated this shift with the interstate highway system, building the Turnpike and Garden State Parkway. These superhighways opened vast farmland for development, making long commutes possible. The car became essential, reshaping daily life and the landscape. Suburban New Jersey exploded outward, forever changed by the age of the automobile. The groundwork for a suburban giant was laid. After World War II, New Jersey's transformation accelerated. Returning veterans, aided by the GI Bill, sought new homes and new lives. The demand for housing soared, and New Jersey's open land became a developer's dream. Farms gave way to sprawling developments almost overnight. Federal policies made suburban homeownership easier than ever. FHA-backed mortgages and government incentives fueled the exodus from crowded cities. The population surged as families left New York and Philadelphia in droves. Entire communities sprang up in months, reshaping the state. The suburban house became the symbol of post-war prosperity. This migration was a tidal wave, not a trickle. New Jersey was being rebuilt, one house at a time. Meeting the post-war housing demand required innovation. Builders like Levitt and Sons introduced mass production to home construction, creating entire neighborhoods at record speed. Developments like Levittown and Willingboro offered affordable, modern homes to working and middle-class families. Uniform houses on curving streets created safe, self-contained communities. For many, these homes were the ultimate American dream. As suburbs grew, so did the need for new shopping options. The shopping mall emerged. Bergen Mall and Garden State Plaza led the way. Malls offered one-stop shopping and became the new social centers. Suburban life was now complete homes, schools, and shopping all within easy reach. The landscape was transformed into a self-sufficient ecosystem. The dream expanded beyond the house. It was a whole way of life. New Jersey's suburbs became a model for the nation. The first wave of suburbanites were mostly young, white, middle-class families. Moving to the suburbs was seen as a step up, a sign of success and belonging. But this dream was not equally available to all. Redlining and discriminatory policies kept minorities out, making early suburbs largely segregated. Life revolved around family, school, and community events. Suburban culture valued conformity and involvement, but also offered support and belonging. Over time, civil rights advances and new immigration patterns brought diversity. Suburbs slowly became more multi-ethnic, reflecting broader American changes. Today, New Jersey's suburbs are vibrant mosaics of cultures and backgrounds. The suburban dream continues to evolve, shaped by new generations. By the 1970s, New Jersey had become the archetype of suburbia. Most residents lived in suburbs, commuted by car, and shopped at malls. The state's identity shifted from agricultural to suburban, often caricatured in pop culture. New Jersey was no longer just the space between New York and Philadelphia. It was a place in its own right. The landscape became a web of roads, houses, and shopping centers, with old towns blending into sprawling suburbia. This success brought new challenges: traffic, environmental strain, and loss of open space. The suburban model created both opportunity and inequality. New Jersey became a living laboratory for the American suburb, its triumphs and its flaws. The story of New Jersey is the story of the American dream, reimagined in suburbia. Millions of choices, amplified by history, created a new kind of place. The suburban experiment continues to define the state today. Today, New Jersey's suburban legacy is still evolving. The classic single-family home remains, but new trends are reshaping the landscape. Town centers are being redeveloped for walkability and transit access, appealing to younger generations. Old industrial sites are transformed into mixed-use communities, blending city life with suburbia. The state is now one of the most diverse in the nation, with global cultures enriching suburban life. New Jersey faces the challenge of balancing growth with preservation, protecting open space while adapting to change. Sustainability and equity are at the forefront of planning. The Suburban Giant is dynamic, shaped by the dreams and needs of its people. New Jersey's story is still being written, one community at a time.